4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Okay, are we all present and counted for, first of all?
Yep.
Yep.
Good. Sound off, please. All right, Alan.
Oh, it's wait. I'm the moderator all of a sudden now?
No, I'm taking a roll call.
No, I'm here.
Eric, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. And is Breck with us, or did he sign off?
I'm here.
Oh, good.
I'm listening in.
All right. Episode 2 of the Shores of Lake Erie Sports is now in session. And the four of us are here. Lutz Norris here, Alan Wu, the Wu Meisters here, Eric Speck, and Breck. Betty is under the weather right now, but hey, we're pulling for her, and hopefully she'll be back very soon. All right. Well, first up, I don't know if anybody saw last night's Knicks game, but oh boy, what a mess.
As usual.
Yeah. But the first thought was that even though it was a disaster at home, and indeed it was, a 22-point blowout by the Cavaliers of all teams, and there was first reports that they said, oh, Fizdale's position as the coach is fine. But now I heard a few hours ago that they're calling on for him to get fired. Not that I'm not surprised. I thought maybe he wasn't going to be back for this season. Even though he signed a 4-year contract, but this is not the way how you coach a team. And he says that, well, the general manager said that they seem to suffer from a lack of consistency. Well, no kidding about that. I've heard all these, they can't get good draft picks and whatnot. And, they're not mentally focused or saying a lack of consistency or whatnot. I was hoping for a little bit more of a promise this year from the team itself, and so far they haven't managed to do a thing. Being now they're 2-8 and looking like it's going to be another season downhill. And I'm a Knicks fan. I've been a Knicks fan since 1975. Yes, I am that old, by the way. No joke, I am. But the point is now, but I've seen before. Back in the 80s before Patrick Ewing arrived, they were pretty bad too. But I think now that it's sunk into an even new low. Last year they only won 17 games, and Porzingis, which was supposed to be our star, like it was in the first year, just collapsed and died. Well, not literally, but figuratively speaking, and he got shipped to Dallas. Once that he came and then came out on fire in the beginning of his term, and then when he got injured, the whole team just fell apart. And now we're just falling apart again without him. Which reminds me that's why I'm glad we didn't get Zion, because he's injured. And if he would have came to us, it would have been just like Porzingis all over again. So anyway, I'm glad that did not happen. But what is really the next problem here? I'm even baffled by it myself. Anyone have any thoughts on that, Eric?
Well, here's the thing as well too, because the Knicks lost pretty handily to a Cavaliers team who actually is not that bad right now, because Cavaliers are 4-5, and I know we touched us about it like last time we spoke about the Knicks as well too, especially with. It's all about Tisdale. They don't have the juice to be in the league right now or so. They're just not a good team or so, and especially with this. Now here's the thing as well too. Now R.J. Barrett, what have you done for me lately? Nothing. Kevin Knox, what have you done for me? Absolutely not. and all the rest of these players or so, what you guys have done for me lately? And the thing is that, what? That's like, I'm sorry to say, but the Knicks are actually now like a dumpster fire. And I'm sorry to say, but they're not really type of team that is going to go in there and just win games. And, and Garden is so it's going to be just a forest. So
Yeah.
that's in my favor right now. Madison Square Garden is going to be the forest. So that's how it's going to be with me.
I think it's more like a ghost town, to be honest with you.
To your point, and to your point, Eric, I'm looking at the chart once again. So Marcus Morris, playing 32 minutes, only had 9 points, 6 rebounds, a minus 28 for the rating. It's just a really pitiful showing from him and RJ Barrett. I'm looking at the DraftKings live app, and there's a lot more snowflake icicles on their emojis next to their names columns. I mean, Kevin Knox, a bright part, I suppose, for 22 minutes, and Julius Randle. It really is. You just wonder when it's ever going to end with them. You're wondering when it's ever going to end and whether they're going to turn things around. And actually, another headline just crossed. Frank Isola from The Athletic thinks the Knicks have a shot at getting Masai Ujiri, hiring him over from one of the heads at the Toronto Raptors that won the championship this year. I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I'm wondering what you guys think about that.
Not a chance. Because also the other problem is the Knicks can't seem to get good draft picks, and that's been, the talk of it for quite some time. They just can't seem to get anybody. Why is that such a problem? Why do we have a problem getting the draft picks?
Why couldn't you get anybody to come over to the team? I mean, this is well beyond the culture. To be able to get somebody in free agency would also have helped a little bit. And they were all insisting, "Oh, we got Morris. We got Morris on over here. We got a few ads here and there." I think they tried to downplay the whole thing. Well, now it's not the worst outcome in my eyes that they're 2-8. It's still what if any is the difference? This is just really pitiful showing as usual.
You think it can get worse than this? How much worse can it get? Anyway.
And compared to that, I mean, you also have to pay a lot of credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I honestly think that the Cavaliers' outlook, I know Betty Cantley, our beloved Betty, has a much better outlook and perspective than we have. She's the lady from the Ohio end of the Lake Erie.
Right.
The reality is, I think Cleveland is uptrending. They had a rough start. They lost a couple of good matches against Western Conference opponents. James Rapian from 92.3 FM, The Fan, just said the Cavs rebuild is working. And I think if they get a few more wins here and there, they're looking good. And the Cavs face the Brooklyn Nets on November 25th, and they're currently 8th in the conference. So yeah, I mean, if the Knicks are going to have a hard time in the West, imagine how they're going to beat the big rivals on the Eastern Conference, this side of the country. Go ahead.
I'm a little worried about the Nets right now because I said this ever since the trades took place. And losing D'Angelo Russell, I think, was a big part of it. And I'm like, well, how good can they be without him? Because he was our star player of last season and getting us in the playoffs as a 6 seed rather. Okay, so we weren't going to go far maybe deep in the playoffs, but still respectable showing. And, was able to give us, the Nets and the Nets fans some respect because for so long they've been more like, the ugly stepchild of the Knicks. Sorry to say that. D'Angelo brought this team back to, where it was back in the, shall we say, early 2000s. But now, I got nothing against Kyrie Irving. I mean, he's putting on a phenomenal show for the Nets, but it seems like he's doing it all. And that does worry me. Okay, 50 points a game here and 40 points a game there. Good. It's solid for him, but I think he's the only doing the majority of the work. And the rest of it, can't seem to just follow up. The Nets need to play more as a team. This is not the Kyrie Irving show. He's not going to, help us out by himself. Other players need to contribute more and get more with blocking and rebounding and shooting and whatnot. So as good as, Irving's doing for the team, it's just not enough. And the Nets aren't, doing all that great either. I know it's still early, but they still need a lot of work. They still need a lot of work to do. If they do manage to make the playoffs, I think it's going to be the low end, like maybe a 7th or, I hate to say it, an 8th seed and be ousted in the first round. Yeah, that's just my opinion, of course. Don't take my word for it. I mean, I could be wrong.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
And of course, when I tuned into the big match between the Phoenix Suns and the Nets, the Suns wound up winning 138-112. The Suns had, I think, like a 32-point lead early in the first half, and even the coach Atkinson got a technical for yelling at the ref. It really did not look good for the.
And he was actually pushed away too, as well. He was actually pushed away for his actions as well, also because of that call too.
Yeah, it was just one of those nights. The Brooklyn Nets were very, very fond of just heading off of the court more than they were just to show up. But that's what happens when you face a Western Conference team these days. It's apparently in the code or something.
I mean, this is a team that the Nets should be beating anyway. I mean, the Suns are not that good this year. I mean, the Suns actually kind of surprised them, like in the first half alone, like 33-13. But still, I mean, it's like I said, it's like Irving can't be doing all this stuff by himself. At least Dinwiddie also gives some help as well too. But you know what, Joe Harris, he's got to wake up as well also. So is Lance Thomas. So is DeAndre Jordan. They gotta wake up or so, and they gotta wake up and smell the coffee, man. And that's how the Nets needs to take care of business this year. They need to start winning some games. And hopefully or so when KD, hopefully when he comes back, he will try to pick up the shine a little bit.
Yeah, but that's not for another year. So it's
you never know. Well, like I said, it could be. You never know, because he's trying to work hard right now or so, trying to get back by the All-Star break.
I would love to see it happen, and that could turn the team's misfortunes around. But, the doctors were saying about his diagnosis that it would take about 9 to 12 months for the rehab to be completed. So that's what I heard in the initial reports. But maybe, that if he works hard enough that he might be able to get it done by All-Star break. But it's still a long shot, though. I am still hoping, though, that it could be.
Okay.
7th in the I think the best we'll do is 7th in the conference, regardless.
Right. We'll see.
The rest is powerful in the East, and the West, of course, is just much too powerful for the Nets.
All right, folks. Let's change subject to a little college basketball over here. Yes. As Seton Hall plays Michigan State this coming Thursday night, we're going to be losing their big guy, All-American Powell, probably going to be out for maybe a few weeks with that knee injury or so. How do you think Seton Hall will fare without Powell or so? And how do you think Gill and how do you think McKnight and company will take care of business, especially with Willard coming back from his 2-game suspension? How do you think these guys are going to fare against Michigan State this coming Thursday night?
I hate to be a downer, but I'm going to say that this is no chance. I mean, Seton Hall is going to be buried alive. You're going to go against number 1 Michigan State. I don't see how they can measure up against the Spartans. They're way too powerful. The almighty Big Ten up against what's left of the Big East. I mean, this has got a massacre written all over it, especially with Powell out. I really see this being a big blow, like a 30 or 35-point loss for the Pirates. Of course, I've seen games like that before. I mean, I remember one game. Let me see now. We're in 2019, correct?
Yes.
Way back in 2005, they played a game against almighty Duke, and I don't know if anybody saw that, but that game was a complete disaster. They lost by 40, 45 points. And it was just plain ugly. And this one, I think there's shades of repeating that, or maybe even worse. I mean, I think by the half, it's going to be like a 25, 30-point lead. So I don't see much hope for Seton Hall up against Michigan State. It's just way too much of an obstacle to overcome here. So they better practice and practice hard if they're gonna have any chance of making this game even legit, even worthy of competing. Because I am a lot worried about this game of what's happening Thursday. Ugh. Pray for us, guys. We might need it.
Might need it, but I will say, I probably will give you a teaser. I might have to take your bet on if you wanted 30 points. I don't think you're gonna lose that much. But it's basketball. Indeed, anything can happen. I got a huge laugh. This is why I say I don't think you're gonna lose by 30. So Adam Zagoria from NJ.com wrote this headline: Michigan State coach Tom Izzo says Seton Hall may be the best team Spartans face early in the season. And I just think this whole thing is just buttering up the hopes and everything else. I think it's almost half of it's diplomatic, half of it is, well, I think he just wants to make it seem like Seton Hall has a little bit more of a chance than it's going to be. They're ranked in the top 15 on the AP poll, but then again, Michigan State University's third, and you can make a case that, like Lou said, that they should be a number one team. I mean, you got Tom Izzo. I don't know how Seton Hall's coach is going to outcoach Tom Izzo with the level of recruits that they have. The match is going on Thursday night, 8:30 on the One, Fox Sports One. So I might tune in for that. Hopefully it turns into something, because I don't know. Which is why I'm really curious to see what the odds are. The odds aren't out for where I'm at, but it probably might be. It might be up to 20. The more Lou's talked me into thinking about it.
Well, the thing about this also, because here's the thing, and like I said as well too, like Kevin Willard is coming back from that 2-game suspension because of allegations from the school. So hopefully or so he'll get back on track. And the thing about it is also, we'll just see what how Seton Hall's going to fare against Michigan State this coming Thursday night. But my other question I'm going to really think about tonight as well too. Now here's the thing as well too. Now here's the thing as well also with the Jets' victory last night over the Giants or so. Do you think Shermer is going to be getting axed by the Giants this year, or is he going to be still be with the team end of the season?
Got 2 words for you: Black Monday at the end of the season. He's a goner.
We should just call our show the unemployment line. How many kinds of we're talking about coaches going off? I don't see much of a future for Shermer either. I don't know in how it works, and I don't know whether or not if Gettleman's going to have any goodwill. The general manager, Dave Gettleman, I mean, he banked on Daniel Jones. I thought that Daniel Jones was a good deal. I think it was a real deal. I mean, I was sold on it the first time he stepped out on the field, but at this point, the offense line's got to show up too. I really think this is more of the same. For crying out loud, the Jets stripped Jones of the ball and ran it straight back in. I think the defense really did in the Giants.
Like Jamal Adams, that's good, yes.
And Barkley had the worst performance of his pro career. He only had, 3 yards the whole game? And
3 yards the whole entire game. Bell had 34 yards the whole entire game.
Ugh. And you went to negative territory. I mean, okay, everybody has a bad game, but this was like, Barkley couldn't do anything right against the Jets yesterday, even though the Jets made it competitive. I mean, the Giants made it competitive, but still. I mean, Barkley just didn't do anything right.
Well, but I'll tell you what as well, too, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if there's going to be a situation where, where the Jets are going to be playing very, very good and the Giants are going to be playing very, very bad, I mean, here's the thing, because, going into the bye week, Giants going to be having that bye, and the Redskins are going to be hosting the Jets this coming Sunday.
Yes.
So, I mean, here's the situation. I mean, it's like, how do you think Darnold and Bell are going to face out against that Redskin defense? But I mean, but I'll tell you what as well too. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I just hope it's going to be some better quality with the Jets this year. So I mean, they got to start winning some games now or so or they're going to get that high round draft pick.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter because even when they do get the high draft picks, they still can't manage to win games. I mean, Darnold was a high draft pick, and what happened? Nothing. Just turned even worse. And with all his issues that have happened this year, with the mono, and then I think I just saw a ghost here. I mean, I think people are really starting to give up on Darnold as our quarterback. I don't know if he's gonna make it to another season. To be honest with you, he hasn't done what he's promised. It's just been a complete letdown for the Jets team. I mean,
like I said as well too, because there's a lot of other podcasters and a lot of sports writers out there that when Darnold was in college, he was not the best quality quarterback around, especially for the Jets or so. I mean, it's like he reminds me of another guy that he was from USC, and I'm talking about Sanchez over here, Mr. Buffalo himself.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's like I've been saying all along. It's like why in the world would we get a person like Sam Darnold who was not good in college, and he's going to be the same Mark Sanchez all over again and just fail and every single thing as well too. And you know what? And I'll tell you what those will too. And you know what? And if these guys do the wrong thing again as well too, they're going to get that guy from Alabama to Tagovailoa from Alabama. No question about that as well too. Or that guy from LSU, Burrow. But still, I mean that's what I'm saying about that right now. I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean I just hope the Jets got a real eye on their power. And, and especially their offensive line got to wake up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because here we are, if I may. We were discussing off the air and for the last few days here, Eric. The Jets still get to play Washington. They get to play Cincinnati Bengals on December 1st. They get the Dolphins the week after. I think of a lot of teams, I still believe the Jets can run the table. This will be the hilarious thing about their season. I don't think Tua, we can discuss Tua all you want to. But if the Jets don't win these, I think we also have to discuss Adam Gase's job and his seat. He may be on the hot seat, too.
Hold on a second now. I don't know, because he's a first-year coach, and, I think we got to give him a little bit of the dog here, because first-year coaches really, don't really have the chemistry with the team yet, and I think that's being a little unfair. I think you got to give Gase another year, to really get this team together before they decide to,
and also too, Alan, don't forget as well too, because you know what? That not only they have those teams, those sub 500 teams, but they also have they got Oakland coming up pretty soon. They got Pittsburgh, and they also have Baltimore as well also. So and Buffalo, and especially at home. Buffalo for the
right.
for the end of the year. So here's the thing. I mean, if you really want to talk about the Jets' predictions for the season or so, could be another 5-11 season, could be 7-9, could be 6-10. Because I know for sure as well too that the Jets will not beat Baltimore, especially in Baltimore, because Baltimore will eat them for lunch, especially with the moves that Lamar Jackson made yesterday against the Cincinnati Bengals, which is that can make a basketball player break people's ankles.
Yeah,
but
that would be shocking if the Jets do beat them. I didn't want to sound like a used car salesman. There is that one tough out for the Jets, and that's on December 12th. I think that is that I don't know if that's Sunday Night Football.
That's against Baltimore. It's going to be the second to last game of the season.
Mm-hmm. December 12th is a Thursday, I think, if it's not.
Right. Yeah, I just want to make sure we got the date right. It's the 12th. It definitely is the 12th. It just doesn't say 12 right now.
So it's going to be very interesting to say the least as well too. And here's the thing is, and also too now. Lou and I have been talking about this for years now, all right, Alan, and also guys, and I want everybody to hear this. I want everybody to hear this as well too. I think what they should really do for the college football playoffs or so, they should have maybe like what they do in college basketball, as well also do like a 60 call, like maybe like a top 16 or top 24 thing there. Forget about the bowls. Start whoever wins a conference or so, they should get in there and be in that playoff tournament. Plus also too the guys that does the at-large bids. But I'm saying like for teams like Ohio State, which is kind of like the top team, and especially we're going to Ohio here as well too. I know we're sticking in New Jersey and New York or so, but right now we're heading up to Columbus, Ohio right now, and we're just gonna figure out how do you think Ohio State is going to be faring as the number one team, and how do you think these guys are going to take care of business, especially versus teams like Minnesota, and especially versus teams against Michigan, and especially versus teams, and especially versus a team like LSU. So it's going to be how, and that's my question as well too. How do you think Ohio State will last for the next maybe 5 weeks left to go in the regular season before they hit the playoff bid?
Tough competition, getting into the home stretch here, but Ohio State's been strong. They have a good running game and a good passing game, so I don't think it's going to be too much for trouble. But speaking of Ohio State, I think giving that player a 4-game suspension was just absolutely ridiculous.
That was Chase Young.
Chase Young, yeah. I mean, a strong candidate for the Heisman Trophy. He wasn't stealing any money or anything. And you guys want to give him a 4-game suspension, and this happened a year and a half ago. Why are you punishing him now for something that he should be punished for? Completely absurd.
Well, the reason is, Lou, because of all the allegations that he did, especially with going under the influence. So that's the reason why he had that 4-game suspension. But still, I mean, but I'm talking about, especially with the chances that Ohio State's going to have this year, and especially with how these guys are going to make out in the tournament or so, because just remember, Alabama lost to LSU, and looks like it could be Ohio State versus LSU in the championship.
As it looks right now, yes, but we still have a few weeks to go. So I'm not going to put a stamp on it, but if things stay the way they are, yes, then that's how it will be. But we still have 3 to 4 weeks to go after the regular season, so anything can change.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you guys, for mentioning the schedule and the slate, of course, Ohio State gets Rutgers on Saturday the 16th. We're not even going to go. 3:30. If you want to watch it, whatever. I mean, I know WWE is sometimes fun to watch a squash match, even though it lasts 1 minute. I don't even know how much of a fight Rutgers is going to put up on Saturday. But the next week after that, they get Penn State. 12 o'clock on the 23rd. That might be a little bit of a tougher out than Michigan. But I know friends on my feed and all over the timelines who all say, well, when it comes to Big Ten, every team's inconsistent except the top team, and that ought to be Ohio State. I think they only need to worry about just not having the wheels fall off over here. And really, I mean, I will tell you, it will be hilarious if Rutgers does beat them. I didn't realize the match was this soon, but there you go.
Here's the thing, Alan, as well too. You're gonna laugh about this. You're gonna laugh what the line's gonna be for this game, for the Ohio State Rutgers game. 51.
Figures.
Ohio State did beat Maryland 73-14.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll sum it for you in 2 words here: double headache.
Oh, a 76-5 victory over Miami on September 21st as well. So maybe 51 might be a little too low, you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so that's So I don't because I have a funny feeling. I think Ohio State's going to pound Rutgers, no question. I mean, the Rutgers don't even have a coach anymore, unless Seattle's going to be coming back maybe this year or so. But we'll generally see what's going to happen this year.
Well, wait a minute. What about Shiro? Any word on him yet, or is this guy not
Who's
going to
this? Who's this now?
the coach that left Rutgers and they're saying he's trying to come back?
No.
Greg Schiano has been in discussions. I do not think anything has been set in stone. I really don't. And if they're going to go with Schiano, they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. I don't see how it's worth it. And honestly, through my feed, I thought people would be receptive to this, but there's a lot of people I've seen. If I had to take a head count, that they say it wouldn't matter anyways. It just be gone with. Just get someone else who's been at that stage of rebuilding, and you're better off there than Schiano. I'm really surprised a lot of people have that sentiment as well.
I think and I'll tell you what as well too, because I believe that Schiano will be the heads-on favorite for the Rutgers job, because
Right.
I know for sure that he did take them to the promised land before. Did take them to a couple bowl games. He has, but if you want, here's the thing as well too, because if you really want a guy that could really take care of business this year and try to maybe win like 6 or 7 games or so for you, and get yourself into a bowl game or so, Schiano is that guy.
But I will say the wild card is, I do wonder if they want to, if he has the clout to recruit the athletes, because the crisis right now, it's not just, well, we're losing right now. It's just, can you get people to buy in the program and believe in them? I honestly, having gone to Rutgers for 5 years, 2006 to 2011, I never imagined that the stands would be as empty as it was, that it would just be the students. And whether or not the students fill the stands, I think that's debatable. I mean, they're probably all studying, quote unquote, probably all studying. It's so rough. And just to think about where they have been and then where it is, it just still breaks my heart. And they paid so much commitment into the program. Say what you want about them not but deserving a spot in the Big Ten. I think the area of it is, they should have at least been able to compete. They should at least be able to get some money out of this whole deal. Or what, if any? What's really going to be the test is to see if this new coach can recruit. Because, the fact that everyone still wants to go across the state line to Penn State, or go over to Stanford and USC, UCLA, to go to Ohio State or Ohio, or Michigan instead of New Jersey, I think that is the biggest indictment, a big primer into how Rutgers went from like we said, a bowl participating team into a team that's just, well, let's just hope we can beat Maryland kind of team.
Yeah, but they're saying too as well too that Rutgers is now one of the best recruiting classes in college football right now, or so. They're kind of like in the top 100.
Well, they weren't a couple years ago, which I really felt like was hilarious. You always heard the names. I would always tune into those college football signing days, the commitment day shows, and it was like there would never be anything about Rutgers. You think about this guy. He's going to Rutgers. He's going to Rutgers, and of course he transfers out. One of the guys came from my high school in Brooklyn at Midwood. I'm trying to remember. We had 2 wide receivers, and only one wound up committing to Rutgers, and one transferred out to another school in the region. So it is what it is. This is back when UConn still had a good football program too.
Sure.
That's true, yeah.
Look at them now. What a mess.
A lot has changed. I don't think, other than the money, that it's gone Rutgers' way. It just is what it is. Those Big East days to the American Athletic Conference days to now the Big Ten. So, but if Schiano does come in, I think that would just be the best in terms of building up a hype, for whatever it's worth.
I mean, not that.
And look at Princeton as well too. Some also as well. Look at Princeton as well too. They lost to Dartmouth at Yankee Stadium the other day, 27-10 or so, and they It's like, they don't have, it's like Princeton doesn't have the good quality recruiting that they used to have a long time ago, especially for anybody from, New Jersey, here's the thing as well, too. This is what I kind of learned, and I did some research on. New Jersey is kind of like not one of the best recruiting states for collegiate sports, especially for college football.
No, absolutely not.
The high
They're
schools
kinda like
are
maybe like
brand
in the
names. So
top-
I would
maybe
imagine
like
like
in the
Don
top 50.
Bosco Prep. I always hear about Don Bosco Prep all the time, to your credit.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Don Bosco Prep, St. Anthony's, and a lot of other ones is, they have some good recruiting, and especially with David Brearley, Berkeley Heights, New Providence, and East Orange, and a lot of other high school sports as well too. They don't really. Here's the thing as well too. It's like, they do so well, and it's like, here's the thing as well too, because when you go for a scholarship or so, it's like, it's going to be 4 years, especially instead of being one and done, they should have like a 4-year scholarship, especially coming out of all these schools.
Right.
For goodness sakes, and that's the reason why it's like I've been trying to say this all along. It's like why in the world? It's like why in the world you have certain clubs like Rutgers and Princeton, like one of the top New Jersey teams in college football or so, and they're not recruiting that well. I understand, and usually you don't talk about the Ivy, and we don't usually talk about Ivy League here, but the thing is that there's something that sometimes it's like, when it goes to recruiting, they're not really much the best recruiting classes of all too, especially when it comes to Rutgers and for Princeton.
I'll say.
It's a very fascinating narrative. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Lou, but if I may just say, if you have the system the way it is, of course Alabama and Miami and UCLA and Stanford and Ohio State, they're going to have the edge. For crying out loud, schools get in trouble for having the girls from their campus or whatever club or insert club name here. They come over to charm the players over, and you have sponsors and Nike stuff coming over. So the science of recruiting and the way that this sports promotion works, that's why it's so fascinating. And especially if you want to read about the NCAA thing where the college athletes and the football players get the right to be compensated. I'm wondering how that's going to go. You all should look into that, because that's all going to combine into, well, how are you going to get your recruits, your recruiting clout, and parlay that into success? It's a very complicated way to make it make your college team relevant and winning. And it's just something that Rutgers just does not have any forward traction in getting. For crying out loud, they can't even fill the stadium. They call it SHI Stadium. They can get the rights sold for the stadium name to SHI Stadium. Where are the buyers to come into their stands? Why is it $30 to get tickets to go there and for to pay for parking too? I'm not surprised. Ultimately, it's a huge bummer. It really is. You can go ahead, Lou.
And it's here's the thing as well too, because for Rutgers, especially for when they used to be called High Point Solution Stadium, that place, that is now kind of like one of the best parking places for football as well too, because it's like you have to take shuttles, and you got to park in somebody's neighborhood. It's like for goodness sakes. It's like, these guys, it's like, the thing is, it's like, these guys got to stop that as well, too. It's just crazy. That's what it is. It's just, I think it's just called ludicrous, and it's a little my book, too.
Very. Rutgers just doesn't know how to recruit well.
I have to believe you there. I don't know if I can argue with it. If you can, it's one thing to be able to have the schools, the high schools next door. It's another to them say, hey, you don't need to go to UCLA or Stanford. You don't have to go to Syracuse. You can just come right over here. We're next to you. It's really frustrating. I think that's a really good word to describe living here and having to hear about Rutgers' struggles.
Yeah.
Good. Another thing to us as well also, we got 20 minutes left to go on our show here. Lou, you have any more questions for us here? Lou, you got Alan. I'm sorry, Alan. You got any more questions? You got some questions you got for us now for the next 20 minutes.
You dropped this on me. Really, really. Okay. Yes, I did mention the Cincinnati Bengals and the way that they're going to be facing the Jets. They're one of the teams that we're feeling like the Jets can really run the table against. I'm still mystified about how they benched Andy Dalton. I'm not 100% sold that benching Andy Dalton was really the kind of key into turning the team around, but. Eric, I know you asked about this. I'm going to give you the credit for asking this. What is the outlook for the Bengals? Are they going to be the team that gets the number 1 pick and tank? I honestly feel like we're just blaming the wrong person. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Andy Dalton back into the ring. I don't know what you guys think about Andy Dalton and what the Bengals' future image of their team is.
Dalton is done. I mean, they did the right thing in benching him. The way I see it, I think it's a 3-way race for who's going to get the number 1 draft pick. Of course, the Jets, that's possible. The Dolphins or the Bengals. I mean, because they're equally.
Don't forget the Redskins too.
Yeah, okay, we'll count the Redskins too. So it's okay. Then it's a 4-way race to find who will get the 1 draft pick. Of course, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to be a successful team next year, but it does help a little bit. Because we've seen this before, when you get that 1 draft pick and you expect great expectations in the next season, but yet it comes up short. So it could be a blessing or a curse, depending on how you look at it. But I think the Jets should be able to beat the Bengals. I mean, they're a joke, and Dalton, he's had his day.
Yeah.
He's had nothing this year.
Well, here's my situation about Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals guys as well too. Because I'll tell you something as well, because Lovie Smith left a great organization down there, especially in Cincinnati, and if you really want to talk about the past or so, Paul Brown actually kind of left a legacy over there, and especially for these guys as well too, and especially with all the names that you had, especially with Ickey Wood, like guys like Ickey Woods, Boomer Esiason, Kenny Anderson, just named a few. Bill Walsh, the coach for the Bengals back then as well too. A lot of other good guys as well too. Chris Collinsworth.
Sure.
And especially the thing about this also, it's like now or so the Bengals are just absolutely now the laughing stock of the NFL. I mean that's how you really think of right now or so. It's just kind of like just mostly a laughing stock, and or so. And the way that I have a funny feeling or so, and if things do go right, and if they do run the table for 0-16 this year or so, this team is going to be otherwise known as the laughing stock of Cincinnati. And, the thing is, I'm just so sorry to say, especially with the legacy that the Bengals have had for the past 40 years, make that 50 years of the NFL, especially when Paul Brown made this team, it's just, absolutely outstanding. From talking about, especially from a powerful winner to a loser, and especially for great guys like Ocho Cinco and guys like Isaac Curtis and a few other people and a few other great guys on this team as well too. So, but I'll tell you what as well too. Bengals in my book or so, they are going to run the table, and I think they're probably going to be the worst team of the league this year. I think they will go 0-16. I'm not going to say this now. I mean, I know they got some I know they got some teams coming up this year. I know we got some teams this year or so that they're going to be playing against, but I have a funny feeling or so once again, and I'm going to say this again, or so they will go 0-16. That's my prediction. First pick of the draft. Andy Dalton is going to be. I think Andy Dalton will. I think he's just going to leave as a free agent, and he's going to be leaving that whole entire ball club.
I'm looking back at the schedule, and I honestly, looking back at when the season started, I honestly did not think the Bengals would be in a position like this. I thought their schedule was not the hardest. 21-20 loss against the Seahawks to open the year. And then, of course, they lost the 49ers. They lost the Buffalo 21-17. They had to play the Ravens twice. So more credit to the Baltimore Ravens for what they're doing this year with Lamar Jackson. We can't talk about Baltimore Ravens enough. But Lamar Jackson is probably going to be the MVP this year. If you still want to bet on that prop at your sports book. I feel like, I'm a little bit blindsided by this. I didn't really see this coming the way that the Bengals did, and I can bet a lot of people in fantasy definitely did not see this coming. And the Bengals have to play the Patriots on the 15th of December. They get the Jets on the 1st, so that probably might be a little bit another one of those fun toilet bowl showdowns. Jets versus Bengals, December 1st, 1 p.m. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, I think he's got a loose favor. I don't know if the coaching staff is going to be still in place. I really thought that the Bengals would not be in this position. I don't know if you guys thought the same way I did. I don't know if you feel like it's out of place for me to say that. Yeah, and that's a fun part about football. That's a very fun part about football. Some of the teams, I remember the Giants after they won the Super Bowl for the next several years. No way did we think, they were going to go. I didn't think any of the New York teams would be, having under 500 seasons. So there you go. The Bengals they put them in the category.
Absolutely, of course. Absolutely, of course.
That's hangover though.
Yeah, and all right. Well, actually, congratulations to Pete Alonso as he won the NL Rookie of the Year award.
What a shock!
But I'll tell you one thing as well too. Do you think he deserved it?
Of course. 53 home runs in the season by our rookie. How could you not pass that up? It was far given.
It was definitely a given. I mean, and fun fact, I was there the night he hit the 53rd home run, his last home run of the year, and it was just the electricity he brought. He is on the batter's side, the Mike Trout of the team. He's one of the guys that's driving them reliably. He's kept the Mets in the game, if not for the DeGrom and some of the other starting pitchers on the lineup. I mean, this guy, his impact is definitely. And now the question is going to be if he can keep it up for the next 2-3 years, if he's going to be able to be the guy, or if he's going to be trade bait, which if I know the Mets, they're going to make him trade bait. But excellent story. I just found out today, as a matter of fact. I'm not surprised. It should have been Pete Alonso.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Pete Alonso does deserve credit where credit's due, and he did deserve to win that NL Rookie of the Year award, and especially with DJ LeMahieu, who actually won the Silver Slugger award for the American League as well too. I mean, do you think he deserved that Silver Slugger award?
I'm not so sure about that one. That's a little bit tricky. I mean, he did good for the Yankees this year, but I don't know if worthy of a Silver Slugger.
A little more competition on that side. Oh yeah, it is one of those deals about they only give out one of these awards per position, right? So I mean, that's the same debate I've always had with the Golden Glove. I never even thought of it that you only give one of a position. So one of the harder awards to get on. It's a little more elusive compared to Rookie of the Year. How many rookies come up to the MLB these days?
This is true. Yep, absolutely.
big win. I mean, that's we'll take away from some of what the way it was. I mean, it's ironic that we were preparing for Rockin' along the shores of Lake Erie sports when the World Series went on down. If we may have a few minutes to discuss that, all the frenzy is just going around. Is Beltran going to make it big? Will the Mets be able to turn around with the Pete Alonso, assuming he's not trade bait? We're looking to the long-term image, and I read that Terry Collins was not going to be bench coach. So I honestly do not have very high expectations for the Mets, regardless of who was going to be manager. Not just because Joe Girardi went to the Phillies, but because it's the way the Mets ownership runs. Van Wagenen wants to run the ship his way, and they could be in a little bit of a better positions. I hope I'm wrong on this, but I do think the Mets are back going to be stuck fighting for a wild card spot. That's the best they're going to be able to do.
To be honest with you, I'll tell you something too as well. You know what? To be honest with you as well too, I don't think Beltran really was kind of like really my pick to be Mets manager this coming year. I don't think really.
Who would you take?
I don't think it was really the type of guy that I really want on the team.
There was there was a lot of unease and a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people were debating. You see all the angry emojis on Facebook. I definitely seen a lot of angry emojis every time a post came about. Oh, who's the Mets going to hire? Who's on the short list? There was going to be there's going to be commentators after commentators. Buck Showalter was on the list. You had I'm trying to remember one of the anchors from ESPN, not Joe Morgan, the other anchor. Yeah, it was a long short list, but there was never really consensus on who they were going to really go for, who was really a standout, other than Joe Girardi, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was just because mostly everybody realized that it was going to be either Girardi or Madden was going to be coaching the Mets this year, but it looks like they gave it to a guy that that doesn't know how to manage or something like that. It's like they gave it to somebody like him.
Eduardo Perez. So sorry. It was Eduardo Perez from ESPN. I remember him now because he used to do some of the commentary time to time with Keith Olbermann's team when they were on the B team for ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Exactly. Like the reality is Beltran, it's good to have – there's a lot of former players now. You have an entire lineup, a batting lineup of former baseball players active in the MLB that are now behind the bench as the skipper. I know there's some fascinating pattern behind it. I would like it to be a former catcher who is calling the action as the manager of the team. But there are a lot of cases of managers who were really good that were not catchers. I hope I'm proven wrong. I really hope I'm proven wrong. Part of me wanted Edgardo Alfonso, and I'm just laughing about how Edgardo Alfonso is speaking out about how he got released from the Brooklyn Cyclones after the Cyclones won the New York Penn League minor league division championship. They won that conference, the New York Penn League, and he's out of a job now somehow.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it does in Brody Van Wagenen's world, folks. He has a hand in discussing even the farm teams.
Unless you're going to have somebody like Willie Backman or so that's going to be probably going to be coaching the Brooklyn Cyclones this year. That's another story in itself.
I'm going to look up one of the crazy trade rumors just so we can wrap up the discussion of baseball. The hot stove season hasn't even heated up for us to discuss it full on, but I did read a headline about how the Mets were entertaining a trade deal with the Boston Red Sox to get Mookie Betts.
Ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I find that very unlikely myself as well. I'm looking at the headline right now. If you guys wanted to Google it for the guys at home listening to the podcast, Washington Post, Dave Shine, labor unrest, again, lurks just below the surface. Of course, labor unrest, I pulled up the wrong headline. And right here it mentions Mookie Betts. Yeah, the Mookie Betts rumor, he might be moving. It might be to the Mets. There was a fascinating trade with that one. So, yeah, just so you guys can look up Mookie Betts.
Mm-hmm. The only thing is that who would the Mets give up for Mookie Betts, Alan?
I'd rather not give anybody. Who are people willing to take? I mean, I wouldn't want to lose the pitchers. If you trade a pitcher, that would be the equivalent of having 3 spots on the monopoly board, 3 orange spots. You have the 3 title deeds for those spots, and you can build the houses, but you trade away one of the houses just to get the transports. I wouldn't move the pitchers. And of course, a lot of the youngins are probably wondering, what are the orange spots? What is Monopoly now? We all play computer games here.
Well, like I said, I'm not going to be surprised because I don't think, in my mind or so, I don't think Mookie Betts will go to New York. That's one thing that I'm not really going to be too excited about if he does come to New York. I don't think him coming to Citi Field's going to be the answer this year.
But what I would like to ask one rapid fire question for me, one last rapid fire question for me. The New York Yankees, I think they need to do something in terms of their starting pitchers depth. Is there any leads? Do you expect them to add another pitcher by the end of this month, by Thanksgiving?
Who's that?
I'm just spitting out some names here. I mean, whoever you can draw a name out of the hat. I mean, the Yankees, it's not that the bullpen is the issue. The bullpen is an issue. It's not their biggest issue. It's not their only issue. I mean, I really feel like they should have had a little more depth to be able to hold back. I didn't expect them to fall to Houston in terms of hitting. Houston really the Astros hit very well against the Yankees in the championship series.
Well, like I said, because here's the thing as well, too, because I do figure out that, Chapman is staying in New York. Betances is probably going to be staying in New York. Britton's going to be staying in New York. Ottavino's probably going to stay in New York as well, too. Sabathia is probably going to be, Sabathia's retired already. So unless they're going to have a good starter, a good quality starter that's going to be maybe they're going to, at least the Yankees are so probably going to have a good quality made between maybe either a 4th or 5th starter in the line behind Tanaka and all of them. So we'll generally see what's going to happen this year. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's one thing we just got to realize, and hopefully, so that's going to be some interesting stuff over there at the winter meetings this year for Major League Baseball.
That's why they call it the hot stove. I mean, they're one of the most fun sports leagues to pay attention to in the off season. Exactly. It's a big lineup. There's a lot of players to be filled in. It's on top of my list of the most fun things to read about online. What exact moves are going to happen? And EliteSportsNewYork.com. That's the article I just read right now from Josh Benjamin. Pitchers are not a priority. So in his mind. His words. So exactly, it's something very fascinating to go about, and that's why it's more reason for you guys to tune in next week in case we hear some crazy hot stove headlines. We'll let you guys know about it.
We certainly will.
Well, we got 2 more minutes left to go on our show. First, I want to say thank you very, very much for listening to us on Primetime with the Network.com. If you want to hear us as well too, we're good because we're going to be on every single Monday night, from 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time, 4 to 7. I'm going to make that 4 to 5 Pacific Standard Time. But when we leave or so, I want to thank all the veterans who actually stood and want to thank the veterans for coming out and just standing for our country and everything else. And, and it's like, thank you all to all the U.S. Army and all the Marines and everything else for being out there for us or so. Lou, you want to finish this? You're the moderator.
Yes, well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And hopefully, Betty will be back next week. We're praying for you, and just hang in there. And I also want to give a shout out for the vets. Thank you for the sacrifices you made for keeping us safe. And see you in the fight all the way. On that note, good night.
Good night, everybody.
Everyone. Thank you, veterans. Get back home safe. Thank you all for having us. Great job, guys.
Yep.
Good job, Lou. Thanks, Breck.